As soon as you enter a room, people are already trying to study you. They scan your face, assess your tone, interpret your silence, and although they do this unconsciously out of fear, desire, or uncertainty, Machiavelli acted purposefully, almost surgically precise. He believed that power is not only about what you say or do, but also about how quickly you can see through others. To manipulate someone, you need to understand them. To protect yourself, you must anticipate their actions. To dominate, you need to recognize them before they realize they are being studied. Machiavelli knew that appearances can be deceiving. Every smile might be a performance, every handshake a threat, every compliment a test. Therefore, he developed tactics rather than assumptions. 14 psychological techniques to instantly read the character, motives, and hidden weaknesses of anyone. The first tactic is to observe how they treat those who are invisible. Forget about how they treat you. That can be easily faked. Instead, watch how they interact with those they consider insignificant. For example, with a waiter, an intern, or a person without influence. Machiavelli taught that power subtly corrupts weak minds, and when someone feels safe revealing their true nature, they will always show how they will treat you when your value diminishes. Respect for the powerless is a more accurate indicator of character than kindness to equals, because there is no incentive to pretend here. The second tactic is to make them silent and watch as their mask slips away. In insecurity lives sound. People fill silence not because they love to talk, but because they fear being left without distractions. If you want to quickly read a person, speak less than they do. Say nothing. Take longer pauses. Let your silence be louder than their words. Soon they will start sharing too much, trying to impress, revealing their fears and motives. Silence is not absence. It is pressure. And under pressure, people reveal what they never intended to say. The third tactic is to give them nothing and watch how they behave. This is one of Machiavelli's most ruthless tactics. Do not give approval, love, or benefits. Just your presence, cold and impenetrable. Why? Because people will always relate to you based on what they can extract. When you give nothing, you see their true behavior. They will become colder, meaning they were kind only for gain. They will become more eager for approval. Will they remain neutral? They have emotional control and can be dangerous. The less you give, the more they reveal themselves. The fourth tactic is to disrupt their habitual control. Some people speak from a rehearsed script. They have perfected charm, vulnerability, even honesty to manage how others perceive them. Machiavelli knew that such people are the hardest to read unless you throw them off balance. How? Ask an unexpected question. Interrupt their joke with silence. Respond with suspicion. Change the subject when they start gaining momentum. When their performance is interrupted, they reveal their true selves. In that moment of revelation, you see their genuine essence. The fifth tactic is to test their loyalty through minor losses. Do not wait for betrayal to discover how devoted someone is. Create challenges yourself. Deny a small request. Withhold what they did not expect. Delay for a short time. Then observe. Do they remain respectful, or do they begin to criticize, distance themselves, or gossip? People who think like Machiavelli understand that loyalty is not shown in how a person behaves when they win, but in how they react when they are denied. The slightest refusal reveals the greatest truth. The sixth tactic is to assess their focus, not their words. People lie, but their attention will not deceive you. While they speak, observe what they pay attention to. Their gaze drifts toward influential people. They crave status, ignore those of lower standing, and respect only what is beneficial. If they check their phone while talking to you, you are merely a temporary substitute, not a priority. They mimic your facial expressions, trying to win your favor. Machiavelli did not listen to words. He tracked attention, because attention is an investment, and where it is directed reveals what is important to them and what is not. The seventh tactic is to mention a fabricated weakness. Share something small and untrue about yourself. Something that sounds like a flaw, for example, I tend to overthink things, or I used to be too trusting, or I am not always good in conflicts. Then observe. If they use this against you, mocking or applying it to you, they are opportunists. If they ignore it, they are either respectful or cautious. If they reveal a genuine weakness in response, they want connection and feel safe. By creating a fictional vulnerability, you test their true reaction to weakness, which is not risky and not real. The eighth tactic is to make them wait. There is no quicker way to understand the level of their entitlement than to delay a response. Reply to a message later. Be vague in planning. Delay the provision of something longer than expected. People with entitlement begin to panic, accuse, or become passive-aggressive. The patient adapt and remain resilient. Machiavelli sought not only loyalty but also resilience, because the impatient and first to react become toxic when things do not go as they wish. Time reveals character. The ninth tactic is to see whom they imitate. Everyone imitates someone, consciously or unconsciously, their tone, style, manners. Machiavelli believed that by studying whom a person imitates, one could decipher their ambitions. If they imitate strongly, they crave control. If they are popular, they want attention. If they are virtuous, they strive for moral superiority. The person whom someone imitates is who they secretly dream of becoming. And as soon as you see whom they reflect, you know what they are striving for. The 10th tactic is to provoke envy and observe the change in their expression. Say something hateful that elevates you, for example, about a recent victory, an opportunity, or a compliment from someone else. Then pay close attention to their face. The smile is too forced. They instantly shift the conversation. Suddenly, they begin to downplay your achievements. This is envy, and according to Machiavelli, envy is the most dangerous emotional signal, as it always precedes sabotage. Envy does not scream, it flickers, and once you see it, you will not be able to forget it. The 11th tactic is to ask what they dislike. Forget about what they love. That can be easily faked. Instead, ask what kind of people they cannot stand, or what behavior in others irritates them. Because the answer rarely concerns others. It is a mirror. What people say they hate usually reflects their own suppressed traits. Those who claim to hate arrogance are often quietly arrogant themselves. Those who declare they cannot stand lies are often skilled liars. Those who say they hate weakness are actually afraid of being seen as weak. The judgment you find is recognition. The 12th tactic is to observe what makes them avert their gaze. Direct eye contact is power. But what interrupts it is the truth. Mention certain topics such as money, status, leadership, past failures, or power dynamics, and watch their gaze. Their eyes will twitch, shift, or lower at the moment something touches too deeply. Machiavelli understood that the eyes are not just windows to the soul. They are outlets for suppressed emotions. What makes the eyes flee reveals what the mind fears the most. Tactics 13 and 14 are the most candid of all. Those that Machiavelli himself used to protect thrones, navigate betrayals, and manipulate those around him. When you use them, you are not just reading a person. You are controlling how they see you. The last two tactics involve observing others. They manipulate their perception of you to uncover their truth, because while the weak try to read others, chasing answers, Machiavelli provoked the responses that came to him. He created tension, not trust. He did not ask. He provoked. These final tactics are designed to reveal a person's true operating system, not by observing, but by creating a scene. The 13th tactic is to become a mirror from which they cannot look away. Most people go through life wearing a mask. They play, charm, pretend. But Machiavelli discovered that when you reflect a person's tone, posture, or language, slowly and without excessive effort, you evoke a deep subconscious self-recognition. They see themselves in you, and what they do next reveals what they hide. For example, reflect their casual tone. Do they become more intense, trying to dominate you? Reflect their confidence. Are they retreating, not knowing how to handle this? Reflect their uncertainty. Do they become superior, even laughable? Acting as their reflections, you create psychological friction. Most will not notice this, but their instincts will respond, and that response will reveal whether they are sincere, defensive, or manipulative. The more a person changes when they see returned energy, the more they were originally playing a role. The 14th tactic is to first disarm with respect before delivering a blow through observation. The average person expects condemnation, so they come armed with justifications, defensive and cautious. The genius of Machiavelli lay in starting with unexpected respect, highlighting their intellect. Acknowledge something they have achieved. Confirm something they have said, even if you are not sure about it. Why? Because when you give someone psychological safety, they lower their defenses, and then you can ask the real question, the one they are not prepared for, which bypasses their armor. For example, you might say, "You clearly think things through. What is the biggest fear behind your decisions?" Or, "You seem incredibly self-assured. When did you first learn to project this confidence?" Or, "You clearly have a good understanding of people. How do you know when someone is reading you?" Respect creates openness, but it is the surgical question afterward that strips away the mask. People are more honest when they feel admired, and that is when the true data emerges. Now that you understand how to read people psychologically, the second layer begins. Reading them strategically. Machiavelli did not care about personality traits in themselves. He studied people as a landscape because every weakness, habit, and blind spot could be used to influence them or be defended against. You can use their weakness as leverage. Once you see that someone is hiding something, you gain not only understanding but also control, not for destruction, not even for manipulation, but for quiet influence. If someone fears abandonment, distance becomes your tool. If they crave admiration, subtle disapproval drives them to seek your respect. If they depend on control, unpredictability disarms them. And if they are dangerous, if they hide a dagger behind a smile, you already know exactly where to strike or how to make them destroy themselves. This is where psychological reading becomes strategic warfare. Profile them into archetypes, but never speak this aloud. Machiavelli did not label people in conversation. He labeled them in his mind. He did not say, "He is a narcissist," or "She is insecure." He observed, classified, and acted accordingly without revealing the diagnosis. Why? Because labels kill power. People fight against them, but treatment without diagnosis goes unnoticed. Some quick strategic archetypes include the hidden pleaser, who craves approval and can be managed with praise but becomes dangerous when denied. The silent careerist, who seems loyal but closely monitors the power vacuum. Respect them, but do not trust their closeness. The fragile genius, intelligent yet unstable, whose brilliant thinking can only be useful if emotionally controlled. The loud defender, who overly explains and justifies, often hiding guilt or deep insecurity. You do not need to tell them who they are. You simply need to know how to deal with them. Do not let them understand that you are doing this. Pay attention to how people react to the word no. There is no better way to test character than through refusal. Machiavelli believed that a person's strength is revealed not in victory, but in self-restraint. Try denying them what they expect, whether it be duty, compliments, or even a crumb of attention. Step back and observe. If a person remains calm, it is a sign of a disciplined mind. If they react subtly or emotionally, it means they are driven by ego. If their tone shifts sharply, it indicates they were merely playing a role. Refusing their will reveals their true emotional foundation. It is important to identify whom they wish to impress. This is key to understanding, according to Machiavelli. People never speak without purpose. They strive to occupy a certain position. Every word is spoken in your presence, part of a strategy, even if unconscious. Ask yourself, for whom are they performing right now? If for you, it means they seek your approval. If for a group, they are asserting their superiority. If for someone absent, they reveal a hidden agenda. Watch their eyes. Notice whose approval they seek. Every joke, every opinion, every gesture is a step toward attracting someone's attention. By understanding whom they are trying to impress, you will learn to whom their loyalty belongs, and it may not be you. Pay attention to what they take pride in, then look for the opposite. People often boast about a trait to conceal the contrary. Someone who says, "I am always honest," may manipulate selective truths. A person claiming, "I do not like drama," often attracts chaos, and one who states, "I always put others first," may secretly feel hurt or controlling. Machiavelli believed that excessive emphasis on a particular virtue is a signal. Because true strength does not shout. It simply exists when someone loudly speaks about a value and follows it, while what lies behind it is often more truthful. These are insights. They are tools to sharpen your advantage. You no longer see people as tangled variables. You see them as codes, programs, reactions. But there is another dimension, because once you can read them, you need to choose how to play with them. Do you give them what they want? Do you maintain the mask, test, dismantle, or elevate? Because with power comes responsibility, and with deep understanding comes the risk of detachment or dominance. But Machiavelli did not shy away from this risk. He embraced it. He saw people not as obstacles or enemies, but as opportunities to advance the game. And now, as you can read anyone, the next step is to learn how to use this skill to win while remaining behind the scenes. Once you learn to read people accurately, your strength will not lie in knowing their secrets. It will lie in knowing what to do with those secrets without letting them realize they have been uncovered. This is the moment when Machiavelli's intelligence shifts from perception to influence. You are no longer just an observer. You are a guide, and they follow your cues without even realizing it. Most people try to influence through persuasion, logic, and subtlety. But Machiavelli did not seek to be understood. He was interested in being obeyed, subtle, silent, consistent. The first rule is to influence a person who does not know they are being influenced. Make them believe they are acting of their own free will. First, reflect their desire, then redirect it. Once you understand what a person wants, status, attention, security, do not contradict it. Reflect it back to them. Consciously bolster their ambition, affirm their efforts if they are uncertain, acknowledge their control if they are dominant, and this lowers their vigilance. They feel seen and understood. And once they are disarmed, you redirect them, linking their desire to your goal. For example, if they want recognition, hint that they will receive more of it if they align with your vision. If they want influence, show how following your plan will give them greater visibility. Do not fight against their desire. Seize it, and once they follow your path, they will think it was their idea. Second, use strategic vulnerability to get them talking. People love to talk about themselves, especially when they feel they are helping you. Machiavelli used this truth like a scalpel. He revealed a small, controlled weakness, something true yet insignificant, for example. I do not always fully trust my instincts on first impressions. Or sometimes I get too caught up in my work. Or I am not as good at managing people as you are. Why? Because this creates an emotional imbalance. They now feel superior, which boosts their ego, useful, which fosters emotional investment, and trusted, which promotes a false sense of closeness. In such a state, they open up. They begin to reveal what they usually hide, not because you forced them, but because they feel safe and above you. A mind that feels secure speaks freely. A mind that feels superior speaks the truth. Now you have unlocked both. Third, reveal half a secret to create a false sense of equality. People trust most when they believe that trust is mutual. Machiavelli suggested that a partial truth or a controlled acknowledgement is enough to appear candid, but never dangerous, for example. I learned from my own experience not to rely on people I thought I could trust, or I was often underestimated at first until I stopped being kind. This creates a false mirror. They think you are just like them, and in their relief, they lower their guard. Then they reveal their true vulnerability. This is an exchange that Machiavelli mastered. You give them a piece of the puzzle, and they give you the whole map. Fourth, allow them to define themselves and use their definition. One of the most powerful manipulations is to never define a person. Let them define themselves. For example, they might say, "I am someone who values loyalty above all," or I hate it when people waste time, or I do not allow emotions to control me. Now you have their self-identification, which means you know what they are trying to protect and how to formulate requests, ideas, or objections. So, they follow their script. If you need them to do something against their instincts, just tie it to their stated values. For example, you are the person who values loyalty. I'm sure you can handle this. Or I know you are not one to tolerate inefficiency. Here is the shortcut we need. You are not convincing. You are affirming their identity, directing it to your advantage, and they will not resist because they believe they are staying true to themselves. Fifth, create a reputation they must uphold. People fear losing more than they desire to gain, so give them something to protect. Machiavelli created reputations for people before they earned them. You can say, "You are known for keeping your word," or "People respect you because you do not get involved in petty political games," or "You are always the one who maintains balance." Now this is recorded, and the pressure increases. If they act against the identity you publicly gave them, they will feel the risk of appearing fake, inconsistent, or weak. This is how they remain in character. They uphold your definitions because you turned it into a social contract, and this is how you establish behavior without giving orders. Sixth, leak enough information to guide perception. You do not always need to directly influence someone. Sometimes, all you need to do is let them hear the right thing. This could be a story about how you outsmarted a competitor, a joke hinting that you are not easily deceived, or a casual remark showing that your standards are high. These leaks create expectations and restructuring. People adjust their behavior around you based on the impression they think they discovered themselves. That is exactly what you wanted. Because when people believe they understand you, they stop asking questions. And when they stop asking questions, they become predictable. Seventh, let them win at first, so that later you can control the outcome. One of the coldest moves of Machiavelli was to give people early victories. Allow them to think that their idea has triumphed, that their leadership is essential, or that their understanding is unique. He indulged their egos with small, harmless victories, while the final result was being crafted in his favor, because he knew that people defend what they believe they have created. They protect what they think was their idea and remain loyal when they feel important, even if they are being used. Let them write the first sentence. You control the conclusion. By this point, you are no longer just reading people. You are building structures around their behavior. You are not reacting to them. You predict their actions. But the highest level of Machiavellianism in reading does not concern others. It concerns what your ability to read others reveals about yourself. In every highly sensitive mind, there is a shadow. Because when you see through everyone, you risk believing that you are above them all. You begin to move without empathy. You start to manipulate for the sake of amusement. And it is here that the dangerous mind must undergo its final transformation. Not just into someone who can read the influential and outplay them, but into one who knows exactly when to end the game and disappear, remaining the victor. At the highest level of understanding, akin to Machiavellianism, the game ceases to be a game. It becomes instinct. You no longer ponder how to understand a person. You simply do it. You enter a room and information flows. Who is insecure? who is playing a role, who possesses quiet strength, and who observes you as closely as you observe them.